currently here for Seconds Out with Jon Pegg, trainer, manager, matchmaker. You've done it all, haven't you, John?
I'm even a cutsman this weekend, so I'm doing even a bit more.
Yeah.
Usually I just do the cuts when we haven't got a cutsman in for title fights, so I do a lot of them. But yeah, this weekend I've been drafted in as cutsman as well, so another string to the bow, as they say.
And obviously a couple of weeks ago you were here for Shakan Pitters and many other people, but Shakan with the main event, British light heavyweight title win. What are your thoughts on that? I haven't spoken to you since then. He looked great, didn't he?
I said beforehand to you in an interview that if Shaq boxes correctly and what he's capable of, it doesn't matter what his opponent does, he won't lose. I wasn't being like bragging or trying to play mind games. That was Shaq's fight to win or lose. Style wise, if Shaq done what he needed to do, he wouldn't get beat. And it proved right, because Shaq didn't put a foot wrong, and Chad Sugden will go on to win titles. I really believe that, what I said. I think he'll be at super middle, but I believe Chad Sugden will go on to win titles, and I think he'll go on to win titles with Hennessy Sports, because Mick really enjoyed working with him, so I think we're going to do something with him. But I think super middleweight, he'll be a real force. But Shaq was on his game, and he's not losing at domestic level when he's on his game. He's very skillful, he's training hard, he's matured, and he's got those freakish kind of physical attributes that just too hard to overcome at domestic level. And I give one round away and maybe one even. And there's not many times you see someone fighting for a British title against a good game guy, not an older guy, and really be so dominant. And I don't think Shaq got out of second or third gear, and that was because we didn't want to chase against a kid who's strong and tough. Once we got the jab working, once we got the boxing working, we says let's just stay here. Now it's up to him to chase, and when you're chasing someone with 7 foot arms, you're always going to be up against it. So yeah, Shaq didn't put a foot wrong. He got the 12 rounds under his belt, which was important. Even when he hurt Chad in the 11th, we just says keep boxing. If something's working perfectly, don't try and overdo it, don't try and overcook it. I always worry about the Harold Graham against Julian Jackson scenario, where you're a mile in front and you walk onto something just trying to look great for the cameras. And Shaq just didn't put a foot wrong. He won the Lonsdale belt, and it doesn't get much better than that. He was the star of the show on Hennessy Sports. It just doesn't get any better.
And obviously there's a card in November, I believe it's the 14th. Shaq said he'd be down to fight on that. Do you have any idea if he will fight on that and who it could be against?
It's looking like he's going to fight on that. I know Mick straight away put the offer into the mandatory, Craig Richards, because the board ordered, after Craig pulled out the first time, that whoever wins out of Chad and Shaq has to defend it in a certain time slot against Craig Richards. Mick put it in, I think, on the Monday. It's been 2 weeks now, we haven't heard anything. If Craig Richards has looked at Shaq's victory and thought he's just an awkward, hard to beat guy, he's got a world ranking, he goes another way, I wouldn't blame him. But the offer is there. But if Craig Richards doesn't take it, then we've already sat down with Mick and we've got plans for 2 or 3 other guys that I'm pretty sure would be more than happy to take a shot at the British title. Shaq's ready to fight. He come out of that fight, not a mark on him, not a bruise, still in great shape from all his training. He spent a week visiting sponsors, supporters, stuff like that with the belt. He's got out there, he sold himself. He'll be on Channel 5 on the show doing a bit of punditry. But now he's back in the gym, he's back training hard. So he'll be more than ready to go on November the 14th. And Mick is pretty much determined to get his first defence on November the 14th. So fingers crossed it'll be his mandatory, Craig Richards. If Craig is taking another route or has got another fight lined up, then it'll be somebody else. But Shaq will be back on November the 14th.
Brilliant. Now, talking of one of his former opponents, Dec Spelman, that man has some cojones, doesn't he? He's fought Lyndon Arthur, now he's fighting Anthony Yarde.
And you've got to remember as well, when Shaq beat Dec in the Ultimate Boxer, Shaq done a really good job and Dec's an hard man to beat, but Dec didn't have to defend his English against Shaq. He knew what Shaq was about, he knew how effective he was, and rather than try and swerve round it, and he was the champ, it was a voluntary, he says, I want to fight the guy that beat me. That's why I says on one of Dec's posts the other day, apart from the guys that I'm actually involved with, he's one of my favourite boxers out there. And make no mistake, if you stay on your toes and use a fast jab and box, Dec will struggle because he loves a row and he wants to plant his feet and have a war. But if you try and stick it on him, you're going to find it's not quite the fight that you think it could be. I think Yarde's saying he's going to go and try and do better than Lyndon Arthur did. But I think like Lyndon Arthur, after a round or two, he'll think, you know what, I'm going to try and get my boxing going, I'm going to get my jab going. Because Dec ain't the kind of man that you just want to stand in front of and start swapping hands with. Not even as good as Yard. He's not, you're giving Dec a chance. If you stand and trade with him, you're giving him a chance to do what he does best. So I'll be interested to see if Yard sticks to his word and sticks it on Dec. And if he does, I'll be very impressed. But I really like Dec Spelman. I like the way he goes about his game. I've spoke to Mick as well. And when Dec's ready, I'd love to get him involved in some good scraps on these shows. Because one thing you ain't got to worry about with Dec is saying no to a good fight. So and Mick agrees he'd like to get him involved in some good fights as well. So if he beats Yardy, we got no chance because he'll be writing his own check then. If Yard, the favourite, does what he's meant to do and takes the win, then Dec will be more than welcome to come over and show the Channel 5 viewers what he's all about.
Now, one of the fighters you're here for this weekend is Idris Virgo, obviously. Yeah. What do you make about his performance 2 weeks ago, and what do you think he's going to make of his opponent this weekend?
Well, Idris, that was the first time he's really boxed close to middleweight because of his kind of reality TV stuff. A lot of the time he hasn't got the time to get his weight right down and stuff like that. So he's been boxing at super middle, even light heavy. And like Shaq's shown at cruiserweight, when you're boxing in the wrong weight division, it's kind of hard to shift them. You can still get the wins, but you can't shift them. Last week, Idris had a kid who was coming to win. He'd only had the one fight, so he was right up for it, ambitious. It was a bit of a local derby. The kid left himself open to a beautiful body shot, and Idris got the knockout win with a body shot. Some people, when they get their first knockout win, it suddenly gives them a bit more confidence in the power, a bit more swagger. Not that Idris needs any more swagger, I don't think. But I'm expecting Idris to have really loved the attention on Channel 5 and what he's brought him, and to be looking for a similar victory. I think he's going to go out there, sending them body shots in, and I think he's going to be looking to entertain and giving the viewers what they got last time.
Yeah, and obviously another one of your fighters, Sam Eggington, fought in a cracking fight against Ted Cheeseman about a month ago now. What are your plans with him and how's he feeling? I know he probably would love to do the rematch. What are your thoughts on Sam at the moment?
The vibe we're getting is the rematch probably isn't going to happen. I've got to admit, if I was Ted and I'd picked up a win where it could have gone either way and I'd got away with it, I don't know if I'd want to go through with that as well. Especially as Sam showed in the second half of the fight how convincingly he'd worked what was out. He really got it right in the second half. The first half, he was trying to get to grips with certain things. And if Sam just picks up from round 12, it could be a painful night. But the good thing about Sam is you're never going to worry about promoters knocking his door. With his style, with his fearlessness, with his ability to turn a shadowboxing session into a fight of the year, people are always going to be knocking his door. We might see him on Channel 5. We might, wherever you see him, there's going to be a war. And wherever you see him, viewers are going to tune in. I don't know if you follow his Twitter, but I've seen so many people saying, don't worry about the result. If Sam Eggington had 10 losses, I'd still be tuning in to watch every fight because of the entertainment he brings. So we might be seeing Sam over here soon, especially if there's more cards with Shakan Pitters in the Midlands. But whatever happens, Sam will be taking those fights. I think he showed in the Cheeseman fight that he is improving. A lot of people thought he wasn't, but he is trying to improve. He is adding stuff to his game because he's just 26. And I think there's still a few years in the Eggington saga. And we'll do what's best for us now because that seems to be what everyone else does. People have a moment, they don't get their own way or they don't get what they want. We've always just took whatever comes. I think now at 26 with such an established reputation, I think Sam's got to start saying, well, I'm doing what's best for me because he'll bring entertainment regardless. So yeah, I think he's over his disappointment with the way the scorecards didn't reflect what he'd done. Two of the scorecards had him 4 down going into the last round, which, the judges do a hard job, but that was just ridiculous. There's no way. Basically, 2 of the scorecards needed Sam needing 3 knockdowns for a draw, and I don't think Ray Charles even seen the fight like that, you know what I mean? So he was disappointed, but being Sam, he's dusted himself off, he's back in the gym looking to keep improving, and we'll be back out whenever the call comes and he'll be entertaining people.
Do you know who that could be against?
Well, he's asking badly for the Cheeseman rematch, but I'll be honest, we want that one. Sam's never really asked for a fight. Whoever comes, we fight him, because that's the kind of guy he is. He doesn't get convinced he's got to fight him or do this. He just goes for the fight that's in front of him. And whoever he's fighting, he makes it entertaining. Even when Sam's fought crafty, slick boxers, he makes them have a war. Do you know what I mean? So we really want the Cheeseman rematch, and it has been mentioned, but like I say, we're getting a vibe that it might not happen. And if it doesn't, we'll just look whatever happens, because whatever happens, Sam will be in a good fight. So we don't worry about it, because when you get too concentrated on someone, it never happens anyway. Then you feel disappointed or you've got your mind elsewhere. So we're just taking it as it comes.
And before I let you go, I want to speak about how you think being live on Seconds Out, free for everyone to watch, is going to be good for Idris, because obviously last fight it was after the main event, but this one's obviously going to be live. How do you think that's going to give him a bit more exposure?
Well, I think it's going to be huge all the way through, because I think a lot of people are going to tune in to watch the full fights, because everyone was moaning they didn't get to see all of it, which I can understand. But then what I think is going to be good is the main event is going to have all those people on Seconds Out tuning straight into the main event. And then I believe that after the main event they're going to show some stuff on 5 as well. So it's just going to be more exposure for the people beforehand with the full fights, which is fantastic. It's going to be more exposure for the main event, even though the numbers was great on Shaq's fights. Mick wasn't happy with those numbers, and we thought they was amazing, but Mick was saying no, there should be much more. So I just think it's going to be good all round, and I think boxing fans are going to get to watch championship boxing on terrestrial TV. They're going to get to watch the undercards, the lads that don't usually get the chance to see. And lads like Idris, lads like Michael Hennessy Jr., Isaac Chamberlain, Stevie McKenna, the hitman from Ireland, those lads are going to get 1 million plus viewers watching their full fights. And each viewer that watches these lads are going to be talking to 4 or 5 friends, and next time them 4 or 5 friends are going to be watching, and then after that fight they're going to be talking to their friends. The way these lads are performing, it could really explode, and I expect it will. So, you know, Seconds Out TV teaming up with Channel 5 is just massive for everyone. It's good for them, it's good for Channel 5, it's fantastic for the boxers, and it's great for the fans. It's a no-lose.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and I'll definitely catch up with you soon, John. Thanks.